You see, the best way to keep your attorney is to get him another milkshake from the Brighton Hot Dog Shop. And I really need him here to talk business as well, because without a good corporate attorney, nothing ever gets done. Listen, my radio shows have been so interesting of late that I literally get off the air and I felt like I've gone 15 rounds with Muhammad Ali. I'm spent. I mean, I'm literally crawling up the steps when I get home at night, because everybody's so passionate about our president, whether you like him or not. And when he selected the Supreme Court Justice the other night, Neil Gorsuch, I thought it was fantastic. I had two of the best legal minds, and I'm sure you know Phil DeLucente and Joe Mystic, who's a professor of law at Duquesne University, and also a columnist for the Tribune Review. And then the night before, we were talking about what's happening with refugees in this country. And listen, all of us are immigrants. Times have changed quite a bit. But I need you to tell me whether or not, I want to know all of the hope and literally the prayers and dreams that I put on manufacturing, promoting it and trying to sell it, and being such a big fan of this petrochemical plant. And I think about being here in Brighton, and let me kind of make the connection here. I think about all of the companies that were here, Coal-Fin Steel, specialty steel that you had for many years across the river, the foundries, the brickyards, Tusker Wars Plastics for years making the little popcorn styrofoam balls for packaging, how it all kind of tied in because of what was happening in the steel industry. I think about when St. Joe Lead was built with my father and grandfather in the late 20s, and how that kind of worked with all of the mills getting rid of waste products and making acid and zinc and all this stuff. It's all about the ancillary businesses and the ones that will pop up around this Shell petrochemical plant. Hopefully perfume companies and plastic companies. But every time I start to believe, I hear people say, coal mines have shut down, these steel companies are never coming back, we have no more blue-collar workforce, you're only kidding yourself. I don't want to give up. I want to keep fighting. So I said, let's talk to you to see if it can actually happen. And as far as legal, meaning legalese, can it happen? Will the country permit some of these things to get signed off on? And the president is making it a lot easier, but realistically, what can we do to bring manufacturing back?
Well, it's not going to happen, of course, tomorrow. It's not going to happen next year, but I think right now we have the administration in place, whether you're for Trump or against him. I think we have the administration in place that has the capability of drafting legislation that's going to make it possible for some of these things to happen. I think they can bring...
Tori, come in close because I want him to hear what he has to say. So go ahead.
I think they can bring some of the steel industry back. I think they can bring some of the coal industry back. The one thing that they've got to do, though, is they've got to make sure the technology is there. You can't just, you just can't open a plant and use the same old technology that they've used for so many years, because that's one of the things that killed the steel industry in the United States to begin with, was the fact that we lost technology. They failed to keep up with technology. There was a visitor from Japan.
Tori, sit here. I want them to hear this. Go ahead.
There was a visitor from Japan that came over to this country years ago in the 60s to study the United States steel industry. He went back to Japan. They did some things with the steel industry in Japan, built it up, modernized it, used more advanced technology. Same gentleman came back 25 years later and was stunned to see that nothing had changed. The steel industry, the technology was the same, the processes were the same, nothing has changed. The only thing that had changed was the regulations got a little tighter, the wages got a little higher, and they lost competitive edge.
You know, today when I was doing a little blog on the golf Waste Management Open, Hideki Matsuyama is one of my favorite golfers. I think of his heritage and who he is, but the first thing I think of after I think of his great game, I think of the Japanese workforce and what they've been able to do in Asia as far as taking over a lot of the things that we made famous. We can learn a lot from our Japanese neighbors on how to run manufacturing, and I know that you have got a great association with members from that country. I just hope that Donald Trump finds a way, our president, to be able to use some of that star power that he has to really make this global economy work for all of us. I do believe if we, like a great pot of sauce, as my friend Roger used to say, you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, I think we can make it work. But that's what worries me about the immigration thing. But I also understand these Muslim countries on why he wants to stop people for at least 120 days. Many more good Muslims than bad, but I understand why he at least wants to kind of let the water settle a little bit and see what's going on. But can he do all of this and still make the global economy want to do business with America, especially those oil countries?
Well, you know, again, that's going to take some time to shape those policies. But the other thing that he's got to do is, I think he's got to scrap NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. You know, we lost 700,000 jobs as a direct result of the passage of North American Free Trade Agreement, and that's on both the Democratic and Republican Party, because that agreement came into being during the Bush administration, and then ultimately signed into law by Bill Clinton. But we lost 700,000 jobs, as I said, in Mexico. Aside from that, you know, the labor rates that we had to compete with for down in Mexico, we just couldn't do that with the union issues that we have here. That's never going to happen. You know? So something has to be done to reshape the North American Free Trade Agreement.
All right, just keep the camera on these guys, Dory, because I want them to hear them, and you'll be able to hear me. As you know, he's trying to loosen the very tight stranglehold, if you will, of NAFTA, Trans-Pacific Partnership, the EPA. But legally, they have corporate attorneys too. So this goes into a court of law. We're talking about the Supreme Court, obviously, with Mr. Gorish of late being his selection. This stuff could get held up in court forever. So what do you think has to happen in the courtroom so we can start to accelerate some of the stuff to bring these jobs back, Ray?
Well, Rob, I don't think it's going to be as much in the courtroom with regard to those legislative acts, because right now is when, for the first 4 years when President Trump has the Republican Senate too, this is going to be the time when he has to make hay while the sun shines. This is his 4 years to really get all of these things in motion and underway. And if they're going in the right direction, then that Senate will stay, or he'll stay in place, and he can stay in place down the road. So that's his biggest role right now, is to kind of get all of these things done while he's got the House and the Senate in his control, so that he can make these things happen. The lawsuits aren't going to be as big with regard to those minor areas. It's going to be, the lawsuits are going to be from the individuals. Now, this is going to cause more litigation than we've ever seen with regard to immigration and those types of issues. But the business aspects of it, and hey, I'm the first to admit, I didn't vote for him. I wouldn't vote for him again if he ran again today. But we have to, as a country, come together and say, look, he's the president now. You can't root against this guy. If you're rooting against him, you're rooting against America. It makes no sense. You got to hope that this guy can succeed at what he's going to do.
Dave, you got the last word.
Well, you know, I'm a registered Democrat, and I did vote for him. And I voted for him because, you know, being in the steel business and the steel industry, engaged in it for so many years, I wanted to see something turn, and I wanted to see that playing field get leveled.
Right.
It hasn't been for a long time, and I think with Donald Trump and that administration that we have in there now, there's a good potential that we can level the playing field.
All right, you can turn the camera over here now. Listen, this is how I'm going to put a bow on this thing and tell you, look, we're all hoping for a better day, but if we continue to fight amongst each other, that day's never going to appear. It'll never be a headline in my hometown paper that steel is back in a big way in Beaver County, as long as those headlines continue to be people protesting and really a lot of anger in Washington. And I think it's going to take those Republicans who may not have agreed with President Trump on the campaign trail to step up and really stand behind him shoulder to shoulder. And it's going to take some Democrats who understand, without those blue-collar jobs, people that go to work and work with their hands every day, well, folks, there will not be an America as we know it. And being on, well, this side of my hometown for the last couple of hours, meaning the right side, and that's the righteous people that have worked hard their entire life to keep this town vibrant and really making headlines every day. I believe that it's up to us, as far as this generation and for my children and for generations to come, to do everything that we can to support this guy in what he's trying to do. And just to tell you how much I love Donald Trump because of his ingenuity and entrepreneurial spirit and hardworking attitude, through it all, he always finds a way to give you a little humor. And he said on National Prayer Day that he was praying for Arnold Schwarzenegger's ratings on The Apprentice. And Arnold fired back and he said, "Let's switch jobs." So, you know, if you have a little humor, you can find a way to work it out. And communication is the key to everything. And Dave was talking about George W. Bush. A lot of admiration, respect for him. He and his wife Laura are going to be a part of the Super Bowl festivities. And also they're going to honor Gene Cerna and John Glenn, two great American heroes, astronauts from NASA who passed away recently. So that's it, folks, from a very long day. But I hope that you understand it's all about America, making it great again, yes, but standing together so as we unite, we will be great again. Good night from the Brighton Hot Dog Shop.